I'm in Havana's harbor, which hasn't seen a fuel tanker come into the country in nearly 3 full months. The country is living through an acute fuels crisis. There is no petrol. There are permanent blackouts. People have no petrol for their cars. Public transport is paralyzed. But now we are hearing an extraordinary piece of news, and that is that a Russian oil tanker that in fact has been sanctioned by the United States is on its way to Cuba and could.
Most people think Cuba is collapsing because of politics, but that's not how economists see it. From a capital market perspective, this is something far more serious. This is what we call a system-wide capital failure. When I analyze country crisis, any country crisis, I ignore headlines. Why? Because I focus on just three things: capital access, energy supply, incentive structure, and once you apply this framework to Cuba, everything becomes clear. Cuba's system is not just socialist, it's what we call a state law capital system. That means the government controls foreign exchange, government controls energy imports, the government controls credit, the government controls wages. And so capital doesn't go where it's productive, it goes where it's loved. And that works only when someone else is funding your system. But for decades, Cuba survived on external support. Soviet Union oil support pre 1991, post 2000, Venezuela subsidies, and post 2010 tourism inflows. But today, all three pillars are weakened. And most important thing, if you see in April 2026, fuel shortage, power outage, and industrial shutdown in Cuba, and this clearly shows that energy crisis is impacting them heavily. And most important, energy is not just electricity, energy is economic output. Without energy, factories stop, that we can see, transport stops, we are seeing that also, food supply chain breaks, and this all things are we are seeing in Cuba. Cuba lost access to fuel due to tightened sanctions by US. Now watch this cascade. No fuel, no electricity. No electricity, no production. No production, no income. No income, no consumption. This is a complete economic chain failure at Cuba we are seeing now. Why sanctions hit hard? Because now you might ask, why does Cuba collapse faster than any countries like Russia? Because Cuba lacks private capital market, a strong currency, flexible trade system. Countries like Russia can re-trade, Cuba cannot. Even you can see Iran. Iran is like doing trades with China, Russia, and other countries, but Cuba doesn't have access to that. And here's where things get extreme. Cuba is no longer running a continuous economy, it's running what economists call a blackout economy, where power comes and goes, production is interrupted, food spoils, businesses shut randomly, and at that point, GDP becomes meaningless. Now comes the silent collapse, human capital flight. People are leaving. Doctors, engineers, skilled workers, and remember, people are capital. When they leave, output falls today, but growth disappears tomorrow. This is a permanent economic scar. Why protests are happening? Because let's be very clear, these protests are not ideological, they are survival driven. People protest when food rots, water stops, refrigeration fails. This is not politics, this is the basic economics. And why help isn't enough? Because countries like Russia, China, Turkey are helping. But here's the reality. One oil shipment is like few days of relief. Solar is not enough for industrial load. No one is providing large scale capital. These are the band-aids, no solutions. And here comes the real trap. Cuba is stuck in a loop. It needs capital, but capital avoids closed system. It needs reform, but reform reduces debt control. It needs energy, but energy requires capital. This is a structural trap. Now, what happened next? Like future scenarios for Cuba. First one is like manage decline, so deterioration, which will be like far more worsen situation right now. Second, control opening, which will be like economic recovery through politics and some leadership. Third one is system breakdown, which will be like bring severe crisis to the people and the Cuba country. Economically, if you ask me, option two is the best, but politically, it's the hardest. To summarize this video, Cuba's crisis is not about ideology. It's about capital, energy, and system rigidity. And believe me, you can survive sanctions if you adapt, just like Iran, Russia, what they are doing. But you can survive socialism if capital flows. And Cuba's problem is simple. It ran out of both time and flexibility.